not able to be here tonight. Again, welcome. Thanks for coming. We're here to talk a little bit more about college planning and post-secondary planning for crosstown high students. And, we really try to cultivate the love of learning, of course, and then also just help our students to understand that they really are lifelong learners. I would be willing to bet that you parents who are here, if you're like me, we know that some of that we definitely continued learning after high school. So whether students decide they're going to pursue a 2-year, a 4-year college, or if they decide they want to pursue maybe a trade school or some sort of career studies, we have something for everyone. Tonight, I'm really, really glad that Mark Wilson from Brains and Brawn is here to join us. Brains and Brawn is our wonderful partner in counseling and guiding students to all of the pathways that they will take. So I work in collaboration with Mark and his team of next step coaches who your students have been working with. And I'm really excited to hear a little bit more from Mark about what the juniors can be working on right now, and what you as parents, how you as parents can be supporting them as they are preparing to do this whole thing of planning for after high school. So take it away, Mark.
Thanks, Leah. So for those of you who have not met me yet, my name is Mark Wilson. I'm leading the team of Next Step Coaches. We work with the junior and senior classes at Crosstown. And part of that, if this is new to you, you guys can schedule meetings with me anytime. If you have questions that are specific, and I expect that there may be some of those over the next year and a half, you should definitely reach out to me, because every student's different, every need is a little unique, and even your familial situation might be different. You might have financial goals when you're talking about expensive colleges, things like that. I can definitely help with any of that you might have. So Ms. Keys can put my email in the chat, and anyone who wants to can reach out to me and schedule a meeting, and we can do a Zoom meeting at any time that's convenient for you. Tonight, we're going to be going through our overview for our junior year timeline with a lot of important things, focusing on what will be on the other end of high school for you. So for most kids, we're considering opportunities around 2- and 4-year colleges, but I understand that's not everyone. If you have unique goals, we try our best to address those in our Next Step Coach meetings. If you've not been in those meetings, we strongly advise you get them scheduled. They're really helpful. Our team, that's what we're there for, is providing each and every one of you with customized guidance for what your goals may be. Those meetings, you're expected to have 4 of those per academic year. And if you need additional meetings, schedule them with me at any time. There's a whole team of Next Step Coaches that work with me. I'm the senior on that leadership side. So if you have questions that need to go to me, just reach out directly through that email that Ms. Keys just provided. I'm going to share my screen here and go through some slides. If anyone has questions, feel free to speak up or do the hand raise function that Zoom has, and Ms. Keys will try to fill those for me. That's how we typically do this. And we'll also have a little time at the end for questions if they pop up. So we're talking about junior year timeline. Obviously, we're already partially through that year, but we really start to focus in on the spring semester with a lot of really important things. So we're going to talk through some main objectives to get started for students over the next 6 to 8 months. Obviously, grades are the centerpiece of what you're doing, whether you're going into college after you graduate or whether you want to go to the military. There's a lot more organizations that consider grades than people are led to believe. We want students to get really involved in activities both inside and outside of school. So extracurriculars, leadership, any opportunity they have to pursue something that they're interested in is one that we encourage them to take. This is the time where you really need to start figuring out what your pathway after you graduate high school will be. Are you planning to go to college? Are you planning to go stay local for a couple of years and get your associate's degree before moving away? Figuring that out relatively soon will really help you on your timeline. And then we want you to begin preparing for those. And we're really adamant that we try to make students aligned with things that are intersecting their interests and relative skills. So that should make it more enjoyable. You should pursue something that you really want to do. And for a lot of students, that's going to look like what we have here at the top, the 4-year college. We have some kids who are going to go to community colleges. We have kids who are going into trade schools. There's absolutely still a need for you to speak with us about that. We have students who are going straight into the military. We have some students who are going to go straight into the workforce. That's all okay. You can prepare for all of those things, and prep, regardless of what your goals are, will be helpful. Another really important thing, we talk about this a lot. I know that it's not all about the standardized test, but these tests are one of the best ways to sort of figure out what tier of college you're competitive for, and also to figure out how much it may cost you, especially at public universities where there are often tuition charts. Just before this, I was going through with one of my one-on-one clients the tuition at Mississippi State and the different scholarships. And there's literal tiers of, if you have an ACT in this range, this is how much you pay per semester. If you can bump it up by 2 points, here's how much they'll take off the total price. Taking these practice tests to try to figure out which one is best for you is really important. Our team focuses a lot on honing in on one test. The ACT tends to favor students who move really quickly in tests. The SAT is a little more slow pace. There is no science component to the SAT, but there is a mental math component, and that constitutes 1/4 of the grade. So figuring those out, take practice tests before you go sit for the real thing. Even if your school is giving it to you for free, some schools, as in some colleges and universities, require that you disclose every single test you've taken officially for admission. So if you can take one at home and understand, oh, okay, I scored a 14 on the ACT, I need to prepare a little more before I take the real thing. We like for students to do that so that they don't have to send that 14 off to colleges. If you take an official test, you may be asked to disclose that score. And if you're still confused on how to figure out which of these is best for you, shoot me an email at the email address listed in the chat, and I can provide you with some guidance, and I can have a meeting with you, and I can also give you a free test and let you take it at home without the pressure, so you can figure out not only which one's better, but where to focus on improving your score. Let's go through the college prep timeline, because that's going to be the thing most families are going to be targeting. If that's not you, it's completely okay. So we're going to talk through a little bit of a general timeline starting in the next couple months. Your junior year grades are extremely important. Even if you had a relatively rocky start to high school and your freshman, sophomore years were not what you wanted them to be, you want to show that you're on an upward trajectory and not the opposite of that. Colleges are interested in the student that they will be accepting. Okay, so if your grades are getting better every year, they're going to be really happy to see that. Make it an effort. Okay, do the little things right. If you're turning in your homework assignments, if you're studying and preparing for tests, you'll be okay. All right, everyone has a relative ability, and we like for everyone to maximize that. But if you're turning in half your assignments and 2/3 of them are late, then you're not doing what you could be doing there. Try to take a practice test and figure out a plan for attack. If you know that you have a target school in mind, go look at what their score range looks like and what their median student looks like, and then try to shoot for that score. Try to take on leadership in your extracurriculars. If you haven't already, it really helps to show that you are leading in a few capacities. And then if you are concerned about paying for college at all, start trying to figure out different scholarship opportunities. Certain ones have requirements that you may be able to easily position yourself for. So there are often service focused scholarships. And if you have 50 hours of community service, you can apply for those. They might be worth $50,000 a year. It's not that hard to get 50 hours. Memphis has a lot of opportunities, but if you know that now, you'll have enough time to accumulate those hours. There are similar things in a lot of different capacities. So do a little bit of searching there and try to start thinking about colleges. And we're going to talk about this, but we like for juniors to figure out what type of college they want to go to. Okay. And when we're talking about what type of college, you should think about, and if you have questions about this, definitely reach out to me. You should start thinking about how far away from home do you want to be? How big of a school? Do you want to be at a school that has 30,000 people or 3,000 people? Both of those options will seem gigantic compared to where you're at now. So a lot of students say they want to go to a big school and then they end up at a school that is too big. Do you want your classes to have 30 kids or 300 kids in them? And do you want to be at a school that focuses on a liberal arts design of education? or one that's more of a research institution that is more STEM focused. Those things will help you narrow down your list from the 5,300 post-secondary institutions in the US to something that's more achievable. Remember, we're looking for about a dozen total. So it's really hard to whittle that list down, and you have to start with thinking about where before you start picking out individual colleges. Think about a profile, build that profile out, and it'll really help. A little later on, March through May, so we're talking about the last portion of your junior year, you should be thinking about taking your SAT and ACT if you haven't already. You should have enough time between now and then to really prepare. Do the folks at Crosstown a favor by going and knocking on doors earlier and asking them, would you author a letter of recommendation for me? You will most likely need 2 letters of recommendation from teachers and 1 from a counselor for almost every single school. There are some schools out there that will allow you to get 1 from a teacher, 1 from a counselor, and then 1 from someone else, maybe a coach or an employee or someone that you've worked with on an internship or something like that. Look through what the requirements are and go ask those people, because just like you're going to have deadlines for November 1st for early decision, early action, and December 31st for regular decision with your college applications, the folks at Crosstown are going to get inundated with dozens of letters of recommendation. So ask for those a little earlier if you can, and give them the summer break to write them. Look at admissions requirements for different schools. So if you're looking to apply to a big list of schools, figure out timelines, figure out what they need. Do they need letters of recommendation? Do they want to see a portfolio if you're applying to a school like SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design? You can start building that stuff over your summer if you know you need it. Try your best to get on campuses. I really like for students to get on campuses when it's possible. The summer's a great time to do that. We're on the back end of COVID, so you can actually go to colleges now, unlike the people a year older than you last year. So take advantage of it. If you absolutely can't swing it and there's no chance you can travel, then do your best to do virtual visits. The big benefit for in-person visits is you can get a good understanding for what the city is. And if you want to be there for 4 years, virtual visits, they're only going to tell you the great things about the school. But if you walk around on a campus, you'll see the things you like and dislike as well. Try to build a challenging senior year schedule. Don't cruise through senior year. Colleges will take note of that. If you're taking super easy classes your senior year, they're not going to be thrilled with that. And then here's something that a lot of people get confused about. The personal statement is the essay that you have to send through the Common App. The Common App goes to over 900 colleges in America. It's probably what every last one of you will use and should use to apply to college. You're gonna write 1 essay through the personal statement, send that off to college. The prompts list, they give you 7 prompts to choose from. Those are typically released the 3rd week of February. So you can already have your topic and start working on that. The reason you want to start earlier is because a lot of schools have additional essay requirements. And let's say you apply to a dozen schools that each have 4 essay requirements that are 300 words each. Just think about that. You're writing 48 essays, okay? 48 times 300 is a big number. It's going to take you a lot of time to do that. So go ahead and knock out what you can early. And if you have any AP classes right now that you're taking, go to the College Board website and go take some practice questions if you haven't been doing that in class already. See how you think you're going to do, because these AP tests are going to actually be the most impactful for your college profile. They'll be the ones that you submit. You will not have your senior year AP results when you apply to college, because it'll be halfway through the year, and they'll show you at your most mature before applying, because your sophomore year, you were younger, and the chances you do as well then are a little lower than when you're older as a junior. Talking about our summer now. If you have summer work for senior classes, obviously get that knocked out. Get ahead on that so you have time for other things. If you're somebody who's looking to save up for college, get yourself a summer job, or try to volunteer, expand your experiences, save up some money for college, start working on that college application essay. Those are the specific ones for each school. So if you're applying to Vanderbilt, they've got 2 400-word essays that you have to write. Take advantage of the time you have. Like I tell the seniors every time I talk to them, time is a weird thing. It's either your best friend if you have plenty of it, or it's your worst enemy if you're running out of it. You know how stressful it can be to be pushing a deadline. Decide if you still need to retake your SAT or ACT. And if you do, get on a study plan. A lot of students say, I've taken the ACT, I didn't get a score that I wanted. So I took it 3 months later and I got the same score. And every single time when I asked them, what did you do in between those 2 takes? Like, what do you mean? If you go out on the track and you run a 10-minute mile and you know you need to run an 8-minute mile for whatever, and you don't do anything differently and you don't work out and you don't go to the track ever again and you go back, you're probably going to run a 10-minute mile again. Same thing on these tests. If you don't put in work to improve your score, your results will not move. Okay. You're not just going to magically learn all of this stuff while you're asleep one night. Okay. Put in the work. It's a very meritocratic test. It is going to reward those who study. It's not a great indication of how smart you are or anything else. I'm not arguing that. It's a good indicator of how much you prepared for the test. Okay. I've seen kids make 15-point jumps on this test. That's incredible. It all came from studying. Start having conversations with your family about the financial aid and need for that with your family, and try to start going to some of these college websites with your family and using their tuition calculators. Most colleges have a tuition calculator online that's pretty accurate, that will help you understand what it's going to cost you out of pocket. You'll start to see some really interesting things when you do this, because the most expensive college lists, typically your private liberal arts schools, are way more likely to have need-based and need-blind financial aid, which is based off of your family's need, your financial need, your income, and will not impact your acceptance. They're not going to say, we're not going to accept you because you need a lot of money to go here. They won't even know that when they consider your application. So the classic example I give is University of Tennessee, Knoxville. For you guys, it's your in-state flagship school. And with in-state tuition, you would assume it'd be really cheap, but it actually costs more money to go there for your average kid going in-state than it costs to go to my alma mater, Yale University, which was $80,575 a year. It's because Yale gives 100% need-based financial aid. Most kids, I think like 80% of kids there are using some sort of financial aid to pay for their tuition. You don't have to pay that back. It's just a discount on the price. And if you haven't already, try to get on campuses. The summer is the best time to do that. They make a real concerted effort for rising seniors. When you go visit these schools, make sure you write down your name on the visit list, because that actually can help you out. So some of the biggest key takeaways here: the personal statement, I really like for students to start that during the spring of their junior year. Have other people look at it. Have people who are not your best friend. If you have the mom or dad who's like, everything my child does is gold, probably don't have them read it. Have somebody who'll give you real feedback. If you have to rewrite it, if you need edits on it, you want somebody to say, this is not great, this doesn't actually tell the story. So get somebody who you trust and who you believe will be really honest with you. If that's your parents, great. I typically like to go for an English teacher or somebody who has experience editing essays to make it a really strong statement, because this personal statement will be the most impactful piece of writing you put together until your college senior thesis, because this will determine where you go to college. Okay. The personal statement on the Common App has a 650 word cap. Some schools offer direct application portals, meaning rather than using the Common App, which can go to 900 different colleges, you can go to MTSU's website and apply to MTSU. I strongly discourage doing that. If the school uses the Common App, as Ms. Keys is giving the don't do that, use the Common App, because you can write that essay once. If you go to MTSU and do everything, you're going to fill out all of this information, click submit, and then you're going to go to ETSU's website and you're going to have to do it all again. And you're going to have to rewrite an essay and put in everything again. The Common App is a very nice portal that will allow you to streamline your application. And trust me, it'll save you, like, if you're applying to 10 schools, it'll save you 10 times the work. Okay. Almost every college will allow you to do direct application, but I strongly discourage that. If you have any questions whenever you get to this point about things like fee waivers for applications, you can speak to Ms. Keys and Ms. Spire at Crosstown, because they will help you out with that. Keep in mind, there are multiple essay prompts to choose from. I have my one-on-one students outline all of them as a sophomore in high school. Okay. And then we write 3 of them. And then we pick the best 2, because they change year to year a little bit. They'll remove one and put a new one up. You can go look at them right now for this year. And if you wrote one, there's only an 18% chance that that one won't be an option next year. So you're pretty good. But I would definitely go outline them as soon as they come out, which this actual calendar year, it was on February 16th. So typically mid-February, they will release the prompts and you can go ahead and begin. The personal statement is a little different from the typical writing you do in high school. It is a personal essay. It is about you, okay? It is not an argumentative or an evaluative, or you're not working on rhetorical analysis like you do in high school and some of your more advanced English courses. You're writing about yourself. Go read examples of good essays. There are thousands of resources out there for free. Go read what good looks like so you understand how you're supposed to write. The most common problem I see students have is that they write very structured essays, very similar to how they would write in a high school class, with an intro paragraph, supporting evidence, and then a strong conclusion. And it's not personal at all. It's very impersonal. So make sure you go read some options and some examples. So let's just go through this again here. With the junior year, figure out which exam you're going to take, figure out when you're going to take it, figure out how much of a gap you have between where you're scoring and where you need to score. If you have the ability to go to college visits, for sure do that. It's extremely helpful. It really helps educate you about the city. When you go to a college, it's not like high school where you have maybe a couple options, but you're going to still live at home. You're living on the campus, you're eating on the campus, you're doing your laundry there, you're going to class there. Your life revolves around that 150-acre campus for 4 years. So make sure you like it before you end up there, okay? Get involved as much as you can with activities. These can be in and outside of school, okay? They can be volunteer opportunities in Memphis that will really help your competitiveness, and we'll talk about that. If you haven't already met with your next step coach, that's one thing we really hone in on. Or they could be in school. You could be the president of a club. Start building out your college list. With this, we like for students to start with at least a dozen schools, and the typical way I explain this to people is we like to have 4 target schools, which are possible, but they're within where you're at. You're basically right within a few points of the median SAT or ACT score, okay? Your GPA is aligned with their average kids. It's a very realistic school for you, but it's a school that is aligned with your abilities. Reach schools are going to be 4 schools that are a little outside, and I like to say somewhere in like the 75th percentile of their score bracket, okay? So you would be a less competitive applicant for a reach school than for a target school as the same student. And then likely schools or safety schools. I don't like the term safety schools much, but that's the one that most people recognize. Those are schools you're very confident you're going to get into. So when I apply, or when I'm helping students apply, I like to say, we expect 2 of our 4 target schools to accept us. We hope 1 of our 4 reach schools will, and we expect all 4 of our likely/safety schools to accept us, okay? That should give you a nice set of options. And with the safety schools, you would expect better scholarships. Start writing that personal statement. I can't say it enough. This is so important. I have a meeting after this for students who have been dragging their feet. Do not drag your feet. When the time starts to run out, you will never, ever be in a situation where you're like, I can't believe I have so few essays to write. It's always, oh my God, I didn't know that there were 7 other essays for this one scholarship at Mississippi State and 12 at Auburn. And I've got to get all this done. Plus I have a Spanish test and I'm supposed to be studying for whatever. Do it now, okay? Outline them now. When they officially release in February 16th, you'll have 2 or 3 good outlines. Pick your favorite one that's still on the list and write it. Figure out who will write your letters of recommendation. Keep in mind, one of these definitely needs to be your guidance counselor. One of these definitely needs to be a teacher. Typically, schools are going to require that these be core teachers. So teachers who teach an English, a math, a science, and depending on the school, they may allow a history teacher or humanities teacher. But most schools are going to want a core teacher. So I would go ahead and figure out which science, English, or math teacher I want to write my letter of recommendation. And if you have another teacher in mind, you might be able to go to someone else, but read your requirements closely. And then when your senior year starts, we want you to already be very close to this, but finish your testing. Know your deadlines, write every deadline down. If a school has a deadline for early, or if you're going to apply, and the application deadline is December 1st, but there's a really important scholarship that you want to apply for that's October 15th. Your deadline's October 15th. Okay. You need to get your application in for that. Students miss deadlines all the time, and they literally cost tens of thousands of dollars with a lot of these scholarship deadlines. Apply, fill out your applications, use the Common App. It's very simple. Use it for your personal statement. Make sure you have all of your other little things and like written down the right way. I had to call Harvard and MIT today because two different kids didn't understand that their GPA was on a 4-point scale and they entered that it was on a 5-point scale. Little things like that can have a huge impact, and that ended up to be very long wait times on those phone calls. Apply for financial aid. This is required. You have to fill out the FAFSA for every single year that you are in college and the year before you go. And CSS applications, you may have to fill these out as well. Your school will let you know. This is less, it's important, you have to do it, but we'll talk about this next year. But you should have conversations with your parents or guardians about the cost and how much money your family has or doesn't have for college, so that you can start figuring all of that out and then make a choice. We'll get to that hopefully once you have options. So at this point, I'll open up the floor for questions and make sure to get back to anyone if I don't know the answer to your question. If you'd like, you can just raise your. Yes.
Before we take questions, I just want to share with all of you that I will be present in the junior English classes this coming Friday to talk about this with our students and really kind of help them figure out what to prioritize right now, because I imagine that, you know, the parents and students who are here, like seeing all of that, like it's a lot, you know, it's really overwhelming. And there can be, you know, if we take it all at once, there can be like all of these things in motion. And really what we want is to help them to focus on things that they can do right now in order to prepare for the, you know, and create this plan. So I just want to let you all know that I will be in the classroom this Friday to talk with our juniors about this. But yeah, like any questions that anybody has, you know, either Mark or I can address those. So yeah, like Mark said, raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself if you'd like to do that.
And I also, while we're waiting on questions to pop in, for people who are watching this retroactively, if you guys are looking at the uploaded video, my email, I don't know if you'll be able to see it through this, but it's mark@brainsandbrawnllc.com. My cell phone number is 901-231-5448. Reach out. Time is of the essence with every single thing we're talking about here, and it can seem overwhelming, but try to reach out to me as soon as you can. I see CJ has a question here that he put in the chat. What are the apps you wanted us to use? So the Common App will be the way you apply to college if you're doing it right and trying to save yourself some headache. So it's just called Common App. commonapp.org is the site. Do not go there now and create an account, because they will assume that you are applying to college this year and that you're a senior, and it'll create some headache. You can create an account officially. I see another question popped up. I'll get to that in just a second. You can create an account officially and start submitting stuff on August 1st, but you should absolutely start on the essays before then, okay? I know August 1st seems so far away that most people don't do anything, but you should absolutely start on the essays now. They're only going to increase. CJ, did that answer your question? Okay. I see, do your services extend to schools overseas? Yes, every year I have a few clients who want to apply internationally. It's always a little bit more hands-on because, I mean, overseas is a general term, but there's so many different timelines and methodologies for applying certain things. You have to really, I mean, if you're applying to certain international institutions, you have to start submitting applications in the spring of your junior year, and every single country is very different. So email me, please, and we will have a one-on-one conversation, because I could spend another 4 hours going through all of the different little things I've learned about international applications. Other questions? Got it. Thanks. Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, if not, I do just want to kind of tie all this together. It can seem overwhelming with so many different things to do. If you're looking at really impactful things, always keep your grades up. Okay. Meet with your next step coach to figure out ways to get involved in a lot of different capacities that are unique to yourself. Okay. Not every single one of you, in fact, none of you should be doing exactly the same thing as your peer. You should be doing what's specific to you and your goals. If you're planning for a college, though, you really do want to start thinking about trying to figure out which colleges are good fits for you. And a lot of that just comes down to the things that are important for you and your family. That could be cost or location or whatever. So just do some research on your own. When the spring starts, start really thinking about SAT, ACT, and start thinking about that essay, the personal statement from the Common App. Go ahead and figure out what the prompts are and start outlining those.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing this plan. I am in-house at Crosstown High and able to offer tools to our juniors to help them get started with that college search. So students who are here, and then also those who are watching later, I will see you all on Friday in your English class, and that's something that will be a regular gig for me. I'll come in and visit and help you guys along the way to create a path. I really, really appreciate you all being here tonight. Thank you, Mark, and thank you everyone for being here. I hope that y'all have a great night. And again, if you have questions, you can email Mark at brainsandbrawnllc.com. I got it right.
Yes, or you can call or text me at 901-231-5448. Anytime.
All right, folks. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks again, Mark.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.